This session is brought to you by Zurich Life and Investments. These guys are one of the last true independent life insurers going around, and they're Swiss, so you know their stuff is solid. These guys really understand and believe in the value of advice, which is why they invest in programs like this one and partner with groups like XY Advisor to help drive the positive evolution of financial advice in Australia. Their team are just really good people as well. So if you haven't already connected with them, to learn more, check out their website or speak to your business development contact. This session is also brought to you by Sun Super. They're one of the fastest growing profit for members or industry funds in Australia. They were the very first of these funds to partner with advisors, and they've got functionality where you can actually link to your client's Sun Super accounts and charge advice fees through the fund, as well as a number of tech innovations to make it easier for you to work with your clients. They've got great investments, they're really, really cheap, and their team are just generally legends. So if you haven't already connected with Sun Super, give them a shout because they're doing some really cool stuff. So firstly, got to say to everybody listening that you need to thank me in advance. The reason that I'm talking to Clay here today is because he threatened to do a show by himself.
A monologue.
Yep.
A monologue.
Just your ears, Clayton Daniel. Oh, good. So you're welcome.
I appreciate the vote of confidence here. But I guess even to that, XY Advisor was kicked off, I should say, out of that distrust that we had of our own abilities to pick everything up at once, right? So in the same way that you don't rely on me to be able to handle this, you didn't rely on me to be able to start my own business. So you had to get me up to speed. All these years later, it's gone from me to you to 1,500 people at this stage.
I thought you were going to say XY Advisor was born out of you just talking to yourself in a dark room, which it potentially was.
There's a very good point. Yeah, blogging under XY Advisor, it certainly was me just talking to myself. That is probably the best way to put it.
So what's been happening, man?
So I guess in a lot of ways, XY Advisor is, I don't know if you find this, but it is the sanity check, I think, for myself to know where I'm headed and then where the rest of the financial service industry is headed.
Do you know where you're headed?
Wait, does the industry know where it's headed?
Touché.
And because it's such a flux, right? Because we don't know, because the industry as itself, we've got some guests coming on this podcast. Fred, who's the founder of finder.com.au and also .com now. That is a direct to market, which gets, I believe, 500,000 views per month.
Wow.
Massive, right? So clearly there's a desire and a need for direct consumer financial education. And it's very topical and it's very transactional, and yet check the need. Like the desire for it is insane. And we don't know what advice is going to look like in a handful of years, right? So I love listening to what people's opinions are. For people that have been in the industry for 30 years down to the person who's, just started. It's a very interesting insight into the minds, the concerns of other advisors. And I think that collective is the best thing that exists to know where financial advice is going. And so when you ask, how's it going? I pay a lot of attention to that group, and it's great to be a part of, purely to keep my finger on the pulse of where I think financial advice is headed. Because even though I don't have an advice business at the moment, I'm obviously still very involved in it, and I will again in the future. And it's very interesting to see businesses like yours, the newer style of businesses, the businesses that were started without purchasing, and there's a handful of them now, and they're becoming more and more popular, and that's kind of looking like where advice is headed. But who knows? Someone might come out with, as we were talking about with Stu Bell about Remit Sethi. And and he's just
you put me onto him, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just got course after course after course after course after course, and financial advice is super about financial education. And then, well, how do you do that well? How do you do that with scale? And we're doing this now with the XY University, but I still really want to see if things keep heading down this super high touch, or if it comes back out and goes super low touch, or if it's a combination. Man, I'm pretty excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think like the fact that there is so much interest from people on the consumer side, it comes from the fact that people are sort of, they don't know where to turn. They know that they sort of don't know what they don't know as well. So you see all these people seeking out this information. They don't know that they can turn to an advisor, and I think the tide on that is slowly changing, which is awesome to see. But they're still don't know what an advisor can do or how it can help. So they're searching this stuff out. But I know you probably saw this in your business, and I see it all the time, that people often end up more confused after searching for it than they did before they started. And, I've read a lot about this, the analysis paralysis, information overload, all of that sort of stuff. It's sort of hard to know where to turn to. And, I think in terms of the business models, it's interesting just watching it all happen. It's great to be a part of it as well. But, you're just seeing the businesses sort of diverge a bit. And I think that will continue over time. You'll still have the high touch. I think people want that. People like the human contact, but being used with leveraging automation and automating or robo whatever to make it less time consuming to deliver the high touch, the human stuff, but then have the lower touch, the self-education, the DIY stuff. And I think you probably see quite a gap in the middle from what I can see, because it's getting harder to provide human tailoring with on any sort of profitable service without having that technology sort of element, or doing it in a profitable way.
Yeah, I think personally I have a belief, and I've taken a position in it, and it's come from doing courses like key person of influence and things like that. In people, everyone, and it's a platitude, but everyone's different, but we can kind of group people into two different camps. One, they're happy to do things by themselves, and the other, they want someone to do it for them. And then you can sort of then cut that down, and sort of somewhere in the middle there's almost, they want someone to do it with. So you've kind of got this, do it for me, do it with me, and then I just want to do it myself. And I think no matter what happens, you're never going to get that clientele that wants to do it themselves. I mean, I certainly came across these people who would come in, learn about what it is that I do, even present the advice, and they just didn't want it implemented. They're like, thanks, here's your upfront advice fee, but I'm now going to go do this myself.
Yeah.
And so you're just never going to get those clients. And then there's definitely a massive portion of people that want to do it with someone. And we don't really know what that looks like yet from an advice point of view. So we've got this direct to market, finder.com. We've got this high touch, do it for me. And I would be that person, right? I would definitely be the person who just do it for me. Like, I don't want to think about it. But it is enjoyable for a pretty large portion of society who would like to do it with someone. And I think maybe people like Adele are doing that the most accurate at the moment, that do it with me. So she's got that Facebook group, and she's educating. So she's not just doing that, go online and find that transactional need met. But she's sort of doing that with. I'm really interested, and I've got a position that those people have been largely ignored, and I think there's a lot of money to be made there. So there's a lot of value to receive, and there's a lot of value to deliver, and there's really no one playing in that space at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think though that part of the even the do it for you is almost do it with you to a certain degree as well. Like you can do, like I try to do everything I can for our clients in the business, but there's still, you've got to do it. You've got to get them involved for them to be able to get the outcomes. They've got to give you the information. They've got to, even when we do full implementation setup for clients, like they've still got to do some stuff. They got to link up their accounts. They got to move money around, like got to switch things over. So I don't know in financial advice if there is a full do it for you service for comprehensive advice. Just investment, you can give someone $100,000, they can go and invest it. That's easy enough. But for full financial planning, you sort of have to have that level of do it with you to a degree. And I think that you're right that it is a massive market, because for young people in particular, and obviously that's where the opportunity lies longer term from a planning perspective, that all of the people that I work with, they want to make smart decisions, but they want to understand the decisions that they're making so that they can get comfortable in them. And I could go and build, I know, 80% of the time when I sit down with a client, I know what their financial plan's going to look like, but we spend hours and hours and do like a 4-hour strategy session to educate them on the options so that they feel empowered. They feel like they've made their own choice, even though it's the same choice that I knew that they were going to make. In the end, I could say, there's your plan, but it wouldn't have anywhere near the same impact as saying, these are all the bits. What do you think? Okay. Oh, yeah, you like that. Good. Money is good. Isn't that interesting? Okay, there, let's tick that off and move on to the next thing.
It's pretty impressive, though, because typical financial advice, and I was that. I was definitely someone that wasn't focused on the journey as much as I could have been and should have been. As we've talked about, my outcomes are something that I like to I'm very proud of, but the journey I was never really much of a that sort of that Sherpa, So it's always great to hear the level of detail and customization that people like yourself are putting in, and that a lot of advisors these days are. What do you reckon? Do you reckon the future is more people getting financial advice or less?
I think it would depend on how you define financial advice. I think it would probably be less getting full financial advice, but I think, like, I caught up with a company the other day, and they're not even in financial services but have a huge audience and basically in the technology space, and they're looking to revolutionize the way that digital products are provided, so or financial products are provided digitally, because that's something where financial services sucks at products. Like it's terrible, like generally speaking, in terms of how it works and the practicalities of establishing products, there's no one really doing it amazingly, I don't think. When I work with clients, and I'm working with younger guys, we got online fact finds, and it feeds into a Salesforce based system, and automated documents and emails and reminders and online calendars and all of this stuff that everyone can do from any device that they've got. But when it comes time to present that SOA, I've got like a stack of documents, 1 inch thick, to open up a bunch of bank accounts and an investment account and a super fund and, all of the things that go alongside it. The product guys are still not keeping up. Even the ones that some of them are moving to online signatures or digital signatures and stuff, but they're still not there. There's still a ton of paper that comes out the back of it. And I think,
well, is it their fault though, or is it the legislation requirements?
No, definitely their fault.
Really?
Blame them completely. Well, why? Why do you need it?
I think you need. I mean, I'm pretty sure you like legal requirements to produce PDS, for example, right?
Oh yeah, but you can deliver a PDS digitally. I'm talking about a bank application form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can you open up a Commonwealth Bank account from your app now?
You can. Yeah,
Okay.
you can there, but like for like advisor to consumer products,
Yeah. Oh, for advisor to consumer products.
yeah.
Got you.
So you can't, it's just not easy, and it's not as easy as it could be. And yeah, there are some things like you can open a bank account on an app. It's also my bank with CBA. It's super easy to do that.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to other products, you could revolutionize the delivery of those products, and build in some educational elements to give people a far superior outcome to what they're getting at the moment, because it's like there's all these things to help people sort of figure out what they want, or what they need or what they should have, and then there's like products that can make it happen. But if you could integrate those two things,
Yeah, I guess, I mean, those very big and successful financial services companies I definitely find it harder to pivot compared to an advisor. I think an advisor, you got a couple of people, you're small, you can just make things efficient, but it is a little bit hard for them. And I guess up until someone or a company or a system replaces that, maybe it's the blockchain. I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty stock. But on CBA for banking, right? How's this? Did you start off with a Dolomite account?
yeah, I've been with them 30,
Same.
30 years.
Yeah, exactly. The Dolomite program was just recently valued by one of these sort of management consultants, and it was worth billions
Yeah,
to Commonwealth Bank. And they've always the funny thing is they say it costs them money, right, to run, but the reality is that due to these cartoon characters that we as children coloured in a colouring in book.
yeah, the Dolomite Man.
The
I
Dolomite
remember
Man.
that. Yeah.
And then you had your sort of hologram ruler.
Oh yeah,
right?
that was sweet.
All of,
sweet gear.
Oh man, all of these things.
Pencil case as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leads to, I mean, even people that work in financial services, we're stuck there,
Yeah.
And I've gone off to Westpac at certain points, at ANZ, certain points, NAB. I have banked with, a BOQ specialist bank, which is, where you call up and then they know who you are before you even pick up. You don't have to wait at all. And yet I keep coming back to Commonwealth Bank.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's weird. Well, they got in trouble recently, right, for the kickbacks to all the schools and the effective commission payments and
Correct.
legacy payments. So watch this space. It's
Commonwealth Bank going through a little bit of, quite a bit of fire, I guess, especially with the that laundering, that money laundering.
Yeah.
That wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah. Lucky they've got their billions to
fall back on.
keep them happy at night.
Yeah, exactly. It is weird that so I'm doing some content creation for financial services, as you do, and do you know how much is in our pension system?
Billions and billions.
Well, so in superannuation in total.
Oh, trillions maybe.
Yeah, it's 2.5 trillion. And do you know where that ranks on a global level?
I think we'd be first or second or something, right?
We're number 2.
Yeah.
America is number 1.
Yeah.
And Australia is the second largest pension fund, in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
And we'll probably take them over, right?
At the rate that we're
US.
going.
Yeah.
Sure. Which is insanity, right? Absolute insanity. I mean, a big part of that is also the Future Fund, right, which is sort of put aside for state and federal employees. But about half of that is in retail and super funds.
Private stuff.
Yeah, crazy.
Big opportunity. That super fund market, Clayton.
Mate, absolutely.
So we had some good conversations on the group this week.
Yeah, man. This week was the first time that we ever eclipsed 1,000 people going into the group in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a big thing. And then literally the next 4 days, so out of 5 days, so we hit 1,000 day 1, 1,000 day 2, 950 day 3, and then 1,000, and then 1,000. So 4 out of 5 days in a row, the group has had 1,000 people on there, which to me is so fulfilling to know that all the time that we've put into this is actually
People are getting benefit.
people are getting something out of it. To me, that is really, really valuable.
I just think it's amazing that they talk about advice gets a bad name from time to time, but then you've got people that are so dedicated to be constantly, and we see so many awesome people in that group just jumping in and like helping other people out, and adding to discussions to just help everyone live together. And I think that's amazing to see everyone so committed to, I suppose, pushing our profession forward.
Definitely. But there's no other we've got, I mean, the advice industry has a lot of people speaking on our behalf, but this is actual just advisors comparing notes. And for example, the education topic, right?
Yeah, that's a hot one.
Yeah, really.
Few upset people, quite a few, in fact.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. We were chatting before and saying, like, obviously there's a lot of stuff that's behind the education requirements, and to be honest, I haven't paid it heaps of attention in the past. I've got a bachelor degree and 2 master's degrees, so I just sort of figured, like, I'll be fine. One of them's a master's of financial planning. I should be covered, right? I should be licensed.
You have a master's of financial
be
planning.
an advisor.
I should squeeze through.
Yeah.
And
So I was chatting to someone the other day, and in our XY mastermind group, and the boys were talking about it, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll just. They were talking about there's not many things on this list, and I thought I'll just go have a look on the list. Not on the list. Might be retiring early by the looks.
what do you need? Honestly,
I don't know. You'd think
a master's of financial planning. You've also got a master's in taxation, right?
Business law,
Business
taxation,
law, right?
yeah.
And taxation. What about that? Does that get you through?
No, not even close. None of those sort of specialist degrees are on there. So
CFP or FCHFP?
No, I've got sort of half of each of those, but when I started my business, I sort of had to focus a bit more on the
practicalities,
making sure my business actually worked. So
yeah.
I've been heavy on that education, and
but there's been talk that it even those aren't enough, right?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. I think that there's a lot of people that are unhappy with the way that this whole thing has been handled from lobby bodies and the associations in particular. I know that those guys are copping a lot of heat. It sounds like, I know that the guys are working hard at it, but I suppose a lot of people do see those associations as there. And I know for me, like, I think it's important to be a member of the associations, to provide the support, because they are the people that sort of lobby to get the things that they want. And
definitely,
I know that they want there to be a realistic outcome. I don't fully understand why it's come to a position that seems to just not really make sense. But I do know that it's not finalized yet, that some changes will still happen, and hopefully common sense prevails.
Yeah, because you would assume that these industry education standards would be enough. And especially ones like yours. So if you go back, to if someone picked up their, say, CFP, back when they were, this is what I've been told, were handed out in cereal boxes. Now I got told that joke by an older advisor who had his for 20 years, but he certainly did say that it wasn't as difficult for him as it is now. So potentially, if there's a perceived problem, it is because of that. Maybe I'm just taking a stab in the dark, right?
I just think it's so weird.
Who's making these decisions anyway? Is it someone
the FASIA board?
And who are they?
I don't know, man. Some people. the
Yeah.
board. They've got it's definitely people.
Man, I think it's crazy.
They're representatives from. I know that the higher education providers are on there, and I think there's representation from. I know the AFA and FPA guys as well.
Maybe
so.
it's just Kaplan.
Well, my degree, one of my masters is with Kaplan, so if it is, you think that they'd be agitating to get me on the list?
Could you imagine it's just Kaplan? They're like, nah, nothing else qualifies.
Yeah,
Just Kaplan.
everybody's out. But one of the things that I thought was really weird about that conversation is that they're penalising degrees that are more than like 5 or 10 years, like done prior,
Right.
Which I think like, okay, yeah, I sort of get that in theory, but really, like if you like, I finished my bachelor degree now 8 years ago. My master's about 5, but like if these standards were coming in 10 years time or 15 years time, yeah, okay, like the technical side is updated, but we've got all this CPD that we need to do to keep up to date on the technical side, and
Absolutely.
you know, you're working in your business, and you arguably 15 years of practical experience in your market is much more valuable than a a bachelor's degree 5 years prior. And I know that even when I did my bachelor degree and studied commerce and economics and finance, but I used very little of that. I used the fundamentals of economics and financial markets, but
Demand and supply.
demand and supply,
Yeah.
all of that sort of stuff. But that didn't equip me to be able to provide financial advice for people. Granted, in my bachelor degree, I didn't study financial planning specific subjects, but
That shows.
Yes, well, here we are, Clay. But yeah, I just think that's strange if you've been working all of this time that it matters that you've got a degree 10 years ago. Like, yeah, so I feel like they got their work cut out with them. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, it's what do we do? You know, is there anything that advisors can do? I haven't kept up to date with this education stuff at all.
We could revolt. Join the train workers and just go on strike. Investments not managed.
Imagine.
We could get matching T-shirts. I heard the train drivers did that, and then they got told they weren't allowed to wear the T-shirts.
Could you imagine the Australian public? And in breaking news, financial planners have gone on strike
and started wearing strange T-shirts.
And everyone's just gone, good.
Oh yes, that would absolutely happen. Yeah, I think it's just speak to your association, speak to your dealer groups, the licensees, because really they're the ones that are pushing the conversation up the food chain, and getting to the ears of the people. I know for sure that that both the AFA and the FPA, they love getting submissions and emails and stuff, and it doesn't need to be. They don't need it to be a formal thing. I think that puts a lot of people off. That they think that it needs to be like a legalistic, like a full-on submission type thing.
You just email them.
Just email them with some bullet points. This sucks because X, Y, Z. Don't say that, but it can be an informal letter voicing your concerns, because it's all of those things. You get these politicians making decisions, but they're disconnected from what's actually happening in the industry and on the ground and with clients, and it's the weight of support behind these things that actually gives them, if they can see that there's a lot of people that are upset with the decisions that are being made, then they reconsider the decisions. And at the end of the day, politicians are generally elected, so they want to be supporting the people that elect them. And sometimes there's a lot of people that, like I said, I know the association guys are keen to get to a sensible outcome, but if they don't have the concrete support that they can demonstrate, then it makes it harder to get to that position. So
yeah, man. So you're saying reach out to your local member?
No, well, you could do it to your member, you could do it to the associations, you can do it to the licensees. What I was saying though is just, I know that the associations are very receptive to that, and right. I think that they know all the people that you should send it to. I know that sometimes they with some of the recent changes, they were saying to send it to members, but I think those guys are probably the best bet, because they love getting the feedback, and they know the best channel for that. So I'd start there.
Well, maybe something that XY should do is come up with where advisors should go to if they have concerns, because the last thing we want is for no one to be able to make it through with their degrees and everyone is just all of a sudden, non-qualified or unqualified, I should say, to keep providing advice, which would be a horrible outcome.
Yep, for sure. Well, we can definitely get the answer to that. So check the show notes and the link with this, and there'll be some directions on what to do to voice your concerns.
Yeah, definitely. All right, mate. Well, thank you for rescuing not only myself but our audience from a monologue. So, mate, that's everything.
Peace out.
Cheers, guys.